I found a movie. And when I say I found a movie, I really mean a movie found me. And when I say a movie found me, I mean it followed me everywhere and forced me to make this video. Once upon a time, I was scrolling on Facebook Reels for some reason when I saw a clip of something that immediately felt different. It wasn't like anything I had ever seen before. I didn't know any of the actors, but it had this vintage cheesy charm. You know how you can tell something is gonna be different just based on the way the microphones sound? Just like that. And even the name of the movie caught my attention. Wishmaster. So I put the phone down and went about my life until a few days later when another clip popped up on my timeline and I was hooked again. What is this movie? So I watched the whole thing multiple times. It's absolutely crazy and I have to tell you about it. So. This is a video about that. This video is gonna feel sponsored, but it's not. I just thought that this movie was really cool and I have to tell absolutely everybody I know about it. And also, I want you to remember that pose, okay? That pose is gonna come back later. Anyway. But before we get into that, Papa's gotta pay some bills. I'd wager that you have a dream. And what better way to make things official for that dream than by investing in yourself and building a website with today's sponsor, Squarespace. Let's pretend for a moment that you don't have a bajillion followers. If that were true, having a website would be super important because suddenly you have an all-in-one location where people can check out your work in all of its curated glory. And if I'm being real for a sec, whenever I'm looking to hire somebody, if they don't have a website that showcases their work, I am much less likely to hire them. I am scouring through hundreds of applications sometimes, but if somebody has a website, I'm for sure clicking it. It's like a certificate of authenticity. You ever heard the phrase, the proof is in the pudding? Websites are pudding. With Squarespace, potential clients or customers can also contact you, schedule an appointment with you, make donations, watch videos through a paywall if you wanted. They can use Apple Pay and on and on and on. Every dream needs a domain. And Squarespace is the easiest place to make that dream happen. So head to squarespace.com/Daniel Thrasher for your free trial. And when you are ready to launch, use code Daniel Thrasher for 10% off your first purchase. I want you to own your voice and own your ideas on the internet with Squarespace, but use my link so they know that I sent you. Now back to Wishmaster. The movie opens with a guy who is working on an arts and crafts project. His mission? To bedazzle the largest water bottle the world has ever seen. The year is 1127 and a Persian king is about to make his second wish to not a genie, but a Djinn, which is kind of like a genie, but evil and absolutely nothing like Robin Williams.
Astonish me, Djinn. Show me wonders. As you wish.
The genie agrees to show him the wonders, and suddenly we have the craziest opening sequence I've ever seen in my entire life. We got a guy who gets Han Solo'd into some sandy bricks. We get Jafar making a run for it. We got Groot's mom and her mouth is sewn shut. And finally, No Nipples Guy. When No Nipples Guy presents himself, my first thought was, nice. But then his skeleton rips out of his body and I had to lock in. This shouldn't be happening. None of this should be happening. For context, this is a low budget movie, like way too low budget for what we're getting. The year that Wishmaster came out, the average movie cost $40 million to make and $20 million to promote. But this thing cost $5 million in its entirety, which the opening sequence should have cost by itself. So how the heck did the director pull this off, huh? Well, if you shut up and give me a second, I'll tell you. It's practical effects. Practical effects! The practical effects in this movie are insane because, as the story goes, the director originally moved out to Hollywood to pursue a career in special effects makeup. That's his whole thing. That's his whole bag. So he had to have been calling in all kinds of favors to be getting this movie made with the budget that it had. And that no nipples skeleton thing that I was just talking about, it is absolutely too graphic to be showing you here on YouTube what that is. But just so you know, this is what my friends did when they saw it. Fantastic Four's The Thing begs Jafar, who is also apparently a wizard, to stop the Djinn and...
Free us, wizard. Lift this curse.
So the wizard comes in to tattle on the Djinn to the king, but the Djinn responds with...
I warn you, wizard. Hold your tongue.
Absolutely captivating voice from the Djinn, by the way. I mean, sincerely, throughout this entire movie, I'm sitting there thinking, this Djinn just sounds freaking rad, dude. He sounds like he'd been chain smoking cigarettes since his mother's womb. The wizard then spills the beans on why the genie is even there in the first place.
3 wishes granted to the one who woke him. Lets him open the gateway between the worlds.
And the king only has 1 wish left. So the Djinn excitedly phones up his homies who are clearly ready to pop in and party. Not to be outdone, Jafar flexes his jewelry and freestyle raps about 900 years before any other rapper did.
Nib Shukar Bahim. Nib Shukar Bahim.
And lo and behold, his flow is so fire, it absorbed the Djinn. Quick thing I want to point out here, look at this. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? That's gotta be one of the best looking over your shoulder moves I've ever seen in my entire life. It literally feels like the director went, look left for me, now look right, now look left again, and look straight ahead. Okay, cut. Wait, you were recording that? Yeah, but we gotta move on. Cut to present day, where a 1990s caricature of a drunk construction worker drops a one-of-a-kind pre-Islamic sculpture on the assistant of a rich guy played by Freddy Krueger.
Jesus Christ!
Take a second, if you want to. I know I just said a lot. Side note though, the construction worker literally goes like this after accidentally murdering someone, which now, to me, is the only acceptable way for an actor to perform that they accidentally just murdered somebody. Anyway, Jafar's bling from before was preserved in the heart of the statue, which gets pawned off by another construction worker gunning for Employee of the Month, and eventually winds up in the hands of a tennis player? Wait, there's an attractive male and female lead? There's a love story in this movie? Of course there is! This movie has it all! We see a man and woman ripping a tennis ball back and forth, where the guy asks the girl when they can go out. And the girl responds,
we go out all the time.
Weaponizing her incompetence and keeping him firmly planted in the friend zone. But then he pulls out his secret move, putting his comically large baseball cap on her tiny head and touching her face. He also gets in the car a really cool way. Never seen anybody do that. The whole point of a convertible is you jump over the door into the seat if you're gonna do it, but jumping through the passenger side seat and then getting into the driver's side, I don't know, man. I've never seen it before, but I've never been cool also. The girl's name is Alex, and she works for a jewelry store under the bug-eyed watch of Green Shirt Gold Chain. To give a better estimate of its value, she gives the shiny rock a, what I would consider to be a very sensual breath, and then she rubs it on her shirt, and we hear this from the Djinn. Through the microscope, she notices some weird movement and heads over to her friends and nothing more pal Josh from before to get him to look at the stone for her because he's such a sweetie pie and a good friend and nothing else.
I owe ya.
Yeah. Well, how about that dinner then?
Ladies watching this, can you imagine asking a guy friend to do something for you and then they expect a date in return? Good thing that never happens in real life, am I right? Up top. Anyway, in addition to being an expert jeweler, Alex is also a girls' basketball coach. I don't know. Let me be absolutely clear here. I have seen this movie 3 times and I still have no idea what Alex does in exchange for money. I always thought that coaches for child sports teams had to be teachers from their schools or something like that, but there's never a classroom scene in this whole movie. So maybe our friend Alex here just saw flyers for a basketball coach position and thought to herself, basketball, I can do that. I play tennis. Basketball, also sport where a ball go plays. So she coaches the team and we see her giving a pep talk around the word stillness.
Stillness. When you get a chance to make a shot, you've got to forget about everything else.
Which really feels like foreshadowing, but that doesn't mean it's not good life advice. Pretty good life advice, to be honest. Her bestie Josh scans the opal with what appears to be premium Microsoft PowerPoint when, it heats up and explodes, releasing a wet baby bug version of the Djinn played by, and this is real, Vern Troyer. You might know him as the guy who played Mini-Me in the Austin Powers movies. I think it's cool. Vern crawls over to an injured Josh who looks like he just survived a kiss attack by someone named Becky Big Lips. Now Josh wants the pain to cease. So the Djinn says,
As you wish.
killing Josh, and then he just kind of digivolves into the full-fledged Djinn that we see for the rest of the movie. And boy, do these practical effects look so good, dude. Creme de la effects. Like, just look how wet he is. And look at the heartbeat on the wrong side of the body. He just looks so cool and big and wet. After some really excellent physical acting, the Djinn takes the remnants of the stones and he bounces. By the way, for some reason, Alex feels all of this. The pain, the agony, all that stuff. You can tell because of all the Dutch angles and the screaming. Something I've noticed about this movie is that I always thought you had to use particular phrasing when making a wish with the genie. For example, I wish for XYZ, like Fairly Odd Parents rules. But in this movie, all you have to do is just kind of suggest you want something around the Djinn, and then he's going to grant your wish in the absolute worst way humanly possible, or Djinnly possible, I guess you would say. You'd say Djinnly possible. These are really hard to adjust. For example, he overhears a homeless man cursing a pharmacist that was mean to him earlier.
You'd only get cancer and die. As you wish.
But then the pharmacist's skin immediately starts boiling and his pupils disappear, which I don't think is what cancer does to you, but I'm not an oncologist. While that's happening, Alex Amberson, that is right, her name is Alexandra Amberson.
Alexandra Amberson.
Meets up with a woman we'll call Blonde Snooki. She hears Alex's concerns that something inside the opal must have exploded, and she responds by threatening to call a psychiatrist, which scares the crap out of Alex. This is 1997. Therapy wasn't cool back then. And then we learn that they're sisters, with Blonde Snooki being the younger one, sometimes preferring the nickname of Shannon. We also learn that their parents died in a fire, and Alex feels guilty about only being able to save Shannon and not her parents. So wanting to solve this Djinn problem, because she wasn't able to solve the parents' problem before, Alex goes back to the crime scene where the red jewel was originally found, running into a man that only speaks in riddles.
Mr. Etchinson?
Sweetheart, you can call me anything you like.
After pressing him on where he found the stone, we find out that the pawn shop owner's name is Clegg.
Your friend Clegg knew exactly what I was talking about.
Let me be clear, his name is not relevant to the plot whatsoever, but it is relevant to my life, because prior to this moment, I had no idea that Clegg was something that you could name a person. The Djinn farts his way into a medical building because he wants to take on a more human form. So while he's window shopping cadavers, a medical student catches him, and so the Djinn apparently grants his wish of having buttholes for eyes. So Alexandra Amberson stops by rich guy Freddy Krueger's house to ask more about the statue that he lost, and he recommends she speak with a local college professor of folklore just before inviting her and her blonde Snooki sister to come over to his rich guy party. The professor of folklore, by the way, does her very best impression of Jane Lynch from Glee the entire time.
Folklore department, that's me. Drama department, that's not me.
And before we get to this next part, I have to tell you something. I am secretly an actor. I had a TV show on Amazon. I cut my teeth in national commercials. I even have a degree in performing arts. I do. I'm sorry, I do. And I say all of this because I need to tell you exactly what is going on right here. This move right here. That move. Wendy, the folklore lady, finishes her line and squints as if she's about to say another line, but doesn't. And can I just say, this is the actoriest actor thing an actor can possibly do. Because if you're an actor in a scene, you are not allowed to drop character until the director calls cut. And actors will usually call this staying in it. But because this editor was so slow on the crossfade, we get to see this actor who has run out of lines act like she has another line to say. I had to point that out. That was very important to me. Anywho, the professor of folklore corrects Alex's misunderstanding of what a Djinn is by telling her to forget everything she knows about genies.
Forget Barbara Eden. Forget Robin Williams.
And understand that a Djinn is the face of fear itself. And that face is the face of a hot man. I'm wearing these for dramatic effect. It's not very sunny outside. So he took on the face of one of those cadavers from before, and now he has a human name. And his human name is Nathaniel Demarest. And the first wish he grants as a human man, he puts cash in a lady's boobs. Puts cash in her boobs and then turns her into a mannequin. But after that, we actually get the first sign of the Djinn's weakness, where he encounters this bodyguard with a mullet here, blocking the Djinn's ability to find out where Alexandra lives. Yes, he is magic, but for some reason he doesn't know where she lives. And I don't know. It's just the logic of this movie, I guess.
You're becoming a bother, little man.
God, I love that line. You're becoming a bother, little man, dude. If somebody told me that, I'd be like, yeah, I guess I'm a little man right now. Put that in your back pocket. I'm putting that in my back pocket immediately. But I think it's a dangerous phrase, though, because if you say that to somebody, they have to pop you in the face. But the Djinn can only use his powers in response to a wish, and so in order to get into the building, he says,
ask me for something, okay? I want you to leave.
No. I have to get inside.
So the Djinn, super frustrated, he starts walking away involuntarily, muttering that he has to get inside the building, to which the mullet man responds,
well, now you'd have to go through me, and that is something I would love to see.
Boom! Close enough! Counts as a wish! Look at his blue eyes! He's gonna mess you up!
And he does. He turns him into a glass mosaic thing, and then he walks through him, and it shatters. You remember that? You remember that from before when I told you to remember that? This is the part that I told you to remember. So the Djinn then borrows the face of the folklore professor to trick Alexandra into meeting him, where he successfully gets her to make her first 2 wishes. The first wish happens after Alex weirdly compares the moment of a demonic entity who just killed a woman to her experience coaching a little girl's basketball team, dude.
I always tell my girls to know their opponent.
Her first wish being to understand the Djinn better. And the second wish is for her to get out of this hellish enclosure the Djinn trapped her in order for her to understand him better. You see how he grants wish? He's bad. It's not good. That is 2 wishes burned in like 5 minutes. He is super good at this. I found this out later, but there's a lot of fan service for the horror movie buffs of the world. For example, we have this really crazy standoff between the Djinn and Tony Todd, the actor from Candyman and the Final Destination movies.
Let me make this real simple for you. If your name isn't on the list, you don't get in.
And for some reason, it feels really important that his name is Johnny Valentine.
The name is Valentine. Johnny Valentine.
It just kind of sounds like he's trying out like a cool guy name and they just kept it in the movie. His name was never mentioned previously, nor does it ever come up after this point, which makes me think that the writers just thought it would sound cool. Which is kind of like what this whole movie is about. It's just a movie that looks and sounds cool. But I don't know too much about the horror fandom, so we're just gonna skip ahead to the rich guy party now. Freddy Krueger finds himself talking to Nathan, the human version of the Djinn, where they have this exchange.
I remember a certain potentate whose last party was talked about for centuries. What do you mean? It went down in history. Oh, yes. God, how I'd love to host a party like that.
Boom, counts as a wish. It's good enough, counts as a wish. And like I said before, this genie grants your wishes in the absolute worst way possible. Therefore, a lady turns to glass and explodes. A guy's face gets cut off. The piano plays itself, which actually does happen at some rich people's parties. It's called a disc clavier. Yamaha sells them. But the strings come out to tie this guy up, like he's probably always secretly wanted. And then those same strings cut his head off his body in a way that I don't think he probably always secretly wanted. Then we get a fireplace that explodes and this really cool footage of a stuntman being on fire. Side note, for some reason, whenever I see a fire stunt like this, I never see a character being on fire. I literally only see a stuntman covered in like special material doing stuntman on fire moves. I don't know why, but in every movie where a guy is on fire, they just do this. They're just kind of flailing their arms around. And this is no diss. This is still very cool and is something that I could never do. But can you imagine being on fire and that's the only thing you know how to do? Hey, man, you're on fire. Yeah, I know. Why don't you stop, drop, and roll? I prefer this, actually. Thanks. Just a reminder as to why all of this is happening. The Djinn's main objective is to get Alex to make her third wish so he can open the portal for his homies to come in. So he says,
listen to their screams, child. Listen to the music of their agony.
You bastard.
Nobody ever lets out a good "you bastard" anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's just a great way to express that you're disappointed in somebody. You know what I'm saying? We should bring that back. Try it out sometime. So anyway, Alex is scared because she knows that her sister is somewhere at this party and there's all these creepy statues around. But I'm scared because they forgot to mic the security guys in the hallway.
Hey, miss! Come with us. We're trying to get this under control.
But apparently they didn't have the chance to get their own microphones because they were quickly taken out by toothy Abraham Lincoln. So I'm sure you're wondering, with all this madness going around, how does a movie like this possibly end? The Djinn has all of these spooky statues at his beck and call. His homies are ready to burst through the membrane between worlds. Alex's sister has been trapped in a painting that is on fire in the painting somehow. What is she to do? Of course, the answer once again lies in her all-girls basketball team. Stillness, which in this case means she goes quiet, closes her eyes, mentally browses a newspaper, memory palace, Sherlock Holmes style, to come up with this.
I wish Mickey Torelli hadn't been drinking on the job 2 days ago.
Dutch angle alert, and also, that is right. That's right, the lovable doofus construction worker who accidentally murdered a guy? What if he hadn't been drinking? Because if he wasn't drunk, then he wouldn't have dropped the thing on the guy, and the stone wouldn't have been found, and then the wet baby bug wouldn't have killed her friends, but nothing more. That is right, folks, she made a wish for the past, which frankly is not something I knew was allowed. So with that, all the statues explode, a time-space portal thing opens up, the Djinn gets sucked in, Alex drops this really cool line.
Wish you never met me.
And reality is rewritten to where Alex puts the hat on Josh this time. And also a kiss, which is something I do with my friends all the time.
Are you all right?
Isn't that cute? A happy ending for everybody. And wait, oh, is that a laughing genie? Does that mean there's gonna be a sequel to this movie? What? There's three sequels to this movie. The second one is supposed to be just as good as the first one. Now, is that foreshadowing for me to make another video about this? I literally don't know. If you want to see this movie for yourself, which I highly recommend, there is a free version of Wishmaster on YouTube, but that is like 4 minutes shorter because it has like a lot less gore on it. But the full version that I saw was on Amazon Prime, so you can check it out there. This movie is absolutely nuts. This is something you have to show your friends in your living room or just somewhere. Don't watch it alone. Just look at what my friends did when it ended. And finally, if there are any directors or producers out there watching this, and I know that you are out there watching this, some of you, this movie really got me thinking that digital effects are overrated, and we need to try to get back to some practical stuff, okay?
Practical effects.